Good afternoon. Hello. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, everyone watching on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Today, we have a special workshop, or I want to say fireside chat, or just a real conversation, talking about all things AI and all things recruitment and talent. So I'm Melissa Slaymaker. I'm the Global Partnerships Director for Women in Tech, which is a global movement. I'm also the Africa Regional Director. I'm based here in Cape Town, but work globally, really. And my background actually is also in tech talent and recruitment. So I'm really looking forward to today to learn from an expert, Vanessa Raath, who is an AI in recruitment consultant, specialist, strategist, and has actually recently spoken in over, I want to say, 12 countries across the world, talking about exactly this. Thank you, Vanessa, for joining me. How are you today?
Great to be here. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. Yep, all good. Been a busy day. As you say, working all over the world. I think my first meeting was at about 5:30 this morning to Australia, and it's been all over the place since then. So it's nice to finish on a little bit of local is lekker.
Nice, very nice. And also, I mean, you are busy because it's such a on-demand topic. Everyone wants to know, how can they as individuals use AI to not only find jobs, but also hire and get talent for their businesses. And it really is something crucial as the world of technology and AI is. This is the revolution, right? We're in it. We're amongst it. The genie
Yeah,
is
we're
out.
living it.
And it's now time to really either get up, ride the wave, be part of it, and see how you can benefit, your career or your company, or get, how we work more efficiently, but also, and also the fear of being left behind. So, talk to me a little bit about, before we go into AI, talk to me a little bit about how did you get here to be in this position right now, having all of the skills, all being so in demand. Tell me a bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Fantastic question, Melissa. So, I kind of fell into recruitment like everybody does. No one leaves school and, wants to get into recruitment. It's one of those roles that we fall into by default, and we end up loving it or hating it. So I've got a long career in recruitment. We're going back about 25 years, but for the last 7 of those years, I've run my own business. And I've always been known as the go-to talent sourcing trainer. So whenever you wanted to upskill your teams, or you wanted, like in your case, you do tech talent sourcing, when you wanted to learn how to look beyond LinkedIn because the tech talent isn't there anymore, and you wanted to learn how to go and have a look on GitHub or Stack Overflow, that's what I did. And then, it was a combination of 2 things that I ended up in the AI world. One was necessity, because I could see that the change was coming. The winds of change were blowing. And if I didn't keep up, I wouldn't have a business soon. And the second, I really put down to my passionate curiosity. I wanted to know more about AI. I wasn't afraid to use it. And I got stuck in, and I developed some really interesting user cases of how I could use it in my business. And then I wanted to share that and take my training skills and share that with a wider audience. So a little bit, as I say, the nice thing also being a solopreneur is that you can be agile enough to just kind of pivot and change and do something new. And I'm so glad that I did, because I almost feel like I've got like a renewed energy for work and really enjoying what I'm doing at the moment.
That's amazing. And we spoke just briefly before this meeting, just to kind of, I was like, how many countries have you been doing this in? And you mentioned the US, Australia, the UAE, the UK,
Yeah.
the Netherlands, Colombia, Nigeria, Kenya, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Germany, Italy. I mean, the list just goes on, and obviously South Africa as well. So it really is, it's a global thing. It's like I said, it's the genie's out the bottle. Everyone needs to, it needs to be aware of it. So, talking about, finding talent, especially in tech, is always hard. Like, it's the hardest thing to find, especially also when you're looking, to find diverse talent. So women in tech really focus on empowering more women to embrace technology and to get into the world of tech and STEM. And finding talent is really hard in that area. So, in terms of, we're all wanting to hear, like, how do I solve this problem? So how is AI reshaping recruitment, and what are some of the tools that recruiters should be using if they are not already? So can you give us some examples? And yeah. Go for it.
Right, okay, good. So that's really good questions, and I'm all for that. I'm all for more females in the tech industry, more for diverse candidates. So that's a wonderful question indeed. So how do I see it shaping the recruitment industry? Is I see it taking away a lot of that really boring admin kind of tasks that have now kind of been lumped in with recruitment, because no one ever decided they were going to become a recruiter because they love admin. So it's literally, let's find some tools, let's find some automation, let's use ChatGPT in a very smart way so that we do less admin and we spend more time with human beings, because that's what recruiters are good at. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm using a lot of customized chat GPTs in order to do a lot of the work for me, because else I get like tied down and I spend my whole day sending out proposals for training and answering emails and things like that, where I'm much more effective doing things like this and delivering training, consulting to companies. And that's, to be honest with you, what I prefer doing. So one of the things that I have done, and I can put it into the chat, is last year, I remember this, I was actually coming back from a conference in Amsterdam, and I decided, this is where I did the big pivots in my business, was I needed to actually get a lot more up to date and in touch with what is happening in the AI world, from what are the softwares and what are the tools that are out there. So what I started doing was I started up, chatting with people, mainly LinkedIn, especially the ones who would suddenly pop out of nowhere and say, hey, I've got a tool that's going to replace recruiters. And I'd be like, I want to have a chat with you. I want to do a demo. Let me understand exactly what this is. Now, what that kind of resulted in was me creating a sheet. It's a dynamic document. It's on a website, so you can't download it because I'm adding to it all the time. I was adding to it this morning. And basically, putting together something for myself. And it was, if I need to do this, or one of my clients ask for something that does this, this is my cheat sheet. I then actually shared it with a friend of mine in the US, and he said to me, why are you keeping this to yourself? Why don't you put it out there? I mean, it's for free. I mean, it's not like I'm going to charge for it or make money out of it. And that's what I did. So I can put it into the, let me put it into the chat over here. I'll put it into the LinkedIn chat, and then we can share it afterwards. And basically, this is what I put together, which has been incredibly helpful in assisting recruiters, because you'll see that on the page, it's got like, if your pain point, or you want to get better at using AI for sourcing talent, or for recording your interviews, or for screening candidates, these are the AI tools that you can use. So that sheet, that website, is now getting over 1,000 views, probably weekly. The last week, Wednesday, I presented at a big conference in the US virtually, and it went over 1,000 on the day. So yeah, it's really popular. Yeah, it's doing really well.
The thing is, these technologies, I mean, most people should know about ChatGPT, right, at this stage. But there are so many other LLMs out there with like large language models. So you have all the companies, fighting for their piece of the pie. So you have Perplexity, Claude, Mistral, Grok, obviously OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, Gemini, Meta with Llama. So there are and so many more just being developed. And the big companies, like your OpenAIs and your Nvidias and even Apple and Facebook all getting involved with this. How do you see the real who's going to be the bigger players in your mind? Like or maybe better question is, what are the best GPTs out there to use that you think? Have you tried and tested them all?
So yes, I have tried and tested them all, and it all depends on what am I looking for. So if I'm looking for information that's black and white, so for example, I want to know, I'm looking for, let's use a simple example, Java developers in Johannesburg. Most tech recruiters are looking for that. I'm going to go to Perplexity, because it's going to give me ideas of where can I go and look. I love the integration that Perplexity has with the internet. I love the way it gives me the sources, and I love the way I can go and dig deeper into all of those sources like any talent sourcer should do. But if I'm looking to generate content and I want it to sound like me, so for example, putting together training proposals, putting together a blog or a LinkedIn newsletter, I want something that I've done more training on so that it actually sounds like me. So I tried Gemini Gems, I've tried Copilot. The best one that I have found where I can train it with some personalization is ChatGPT. It's literally just the entry level one, is the $20 version. And that for me has been the biggest time saver and really assisted me to get a lot more efficient within my business. Because as I say in my workshops all the time, when we're talking about AI at the moment, we actually can go two separate paths, because we're talking about the LLMs, the way that we can use them, and a lot of people using them for their personal perspective. And then you've got all of those tools that are listed on that sheet that I just gave you. And what I tend to see is that a lot of people are trying to create what's already on the sheet. And that, for me, is a little bit counterintuitive.
That's so useful to know. And I mean, anyone, it's crazy. If you actually look at it, anyone can go and create an AI agent at
Sure.
almost free or very little cost, depending on what you want to create.
Yes.
I don't know if people are even aware of this. And this is why it's so exciting to be in this chat with you today, to share this awareness and make people just kind of rethink the way that they are working, rethink the way that they're recruiting. So for those that don't really know much about AI, right, artificial intelligence, obviously, what's the difference between like automating something and then creating an agent? Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure, absolutely. So an automation is actually, a lot of people that I talk to before they get their name on this list over here, they're actually trying to start an automation tool. So it doesn't go on the list because it's actually not an AI tool. So an automation is something that kind of happens automatically. So you're out of office. That is an automation. If you've got a booking link, that is an automation. It syncs with your Outlook calendar, your Gmail, or your Google Calendar, and that will put things in place based on like an automatic process, should I say. Now, when you come to the agents, and I actually was playing around this morning, I had a little bit of a gap with the new ChatGPT 4 agents that has just come out. And it was really interesting because I've also played around with the Replit agents and N8N. Those can work autonomously and they can do a lot more. So what was really interesting today was I set it off on a task to do an exercise, and I could actually watch it on the screen as it was scrolling through different websites. It was doing research for me. I actually gave it a task to go and purchase something for me, and then the screen popped up and it said, do you want to purchase this, put in your credit card details kind of thing. And it was really interesting because it did a lot of that without me having to sit there and prompt. It could work autonomously. So I think there is a bit of confusion around that. I think automation can do so much. And I think that automation is definitely a great place to start because automations make your life easier. But agents are a little bit more complex to get your head around.
Thank you for that. And I mean, the big thing, learning thing for me when I started stumbling across, learning about AI and really living in this space is this thing called prompt engineering, right? So we hear it all the time. So how important is prompt engineering when you're working and creating these solutions with AI agents? And how do we become better prompt engineers? Can you shed some light on that?
Great question. Because when AI first came out 3 years ago, every recruiter thought, that's it, we're going to be recruiting prompt engineers until the end of time. But it's actually really funny because it didn't happen, because we all became prompt engineers. So in my workshops, it's something I actually spend a lot of time on, because the better your prompt, the better your result. So let me give you an example. I see a lot of recruiters that are quite nervous around their usage of AI. They put in a very bad, very sparse prompt. They get a result, and then they spend 30 minutes working on the result. Instead of thinking, let me re-prompt it, let me write a better prompt from the outset. And I think that that's the prompt engineering, where if you get a better prompt, you follow a framework. And there is a 5 or 6 step framework, which I do train in my training. But now I've done it so many times, I basically know it off by heart. I don't think about the framework. It's just the way that I prompt now. So you'll see tomorrow and Friday, I'm actually doing a prompt around storytelling tomorrow for my personal experience. And then on Friday, I'm actually sharing the prompt so that other people can replicate it. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to teach people how to get better results by writing better prompts from the outset.
Exactly. And in terms of the whole prompt engineering, what I've also discovered is that you can again use different language models, or I don't just stick to one, but to
Yeah.
say you are now a prompt engineer, Claude or ChatGPT, whichever one you're
Yes.
using, write a prompt for Gemini. I want to create a video, doing this. So I actually use AI to create the prompts and then put those prompts into other LLMs, which also uses less tokens. So tokens are basically what you're given for free if you sign up. You have a limited amount of questions or prompts that you can use before they start saying, okay, now you need to pay. So by actually using multiple free versions, you can get away with quite a lot. So that's definitely worked for me when I'm doing my work and also being an entrepreneur myself, you have to bootstrap certain things and think where you can get away
Exactly.
with tools.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
there are so many free tools. I mean, on your sheets as well, most of them are free or subscription up if you use obviously a lot. But it is, I mean, these things are free and people should be using them. And I don't. This is really the time to. You haven't fallen behind yet. If you here joining us today, it's not too late. It's not too late. You still have.
Exactly.
So, talk to me a bit about the kind of personalization of your prompts as well, because when you use like ChatGPT or any of these LLMs, sometimes even you have ChatGPT or GPT detectors that can see
Yes.
whether something is created or written by AI.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
we make it personal? Like, how do we get our voice across and make it give us results that sounds like us or our brand or our culture? How do we do that?
So the best way that I figured out how to do that, and it was quite a bit of trial and error, was I actually spent a lot of time speaking into these GPTs. So it picks up how you sound. And the best way that I could get it to remember this was to build the custom GPTs. So, for example, last night I was actually on a webinar with a company out of Sri Lanka, and this morning they sent through the transcript. So what I did was I took the transcript, I put it into ChatGPT and said, take out whatever I said and don't change the words or anything. And it came out and it was exactly how I spoke. So I could feed that into my GPT, which is my voice, to say, this is just an update. I'm giving you this. This is a webinar that I presented on last night. Please take notes if there's any mannerisms or key phrases that I use that you can actually incorporate when you are generating any text for me. And I think that that's the key thing, is that a lot of people at the moment are asking for training because they're seeing their recruitment teams, using ChatGPT, but using it badly. So you're getting things like, things people can spot. You've got the GPT buzzwords, you've got the jargon, you've got long dashes, you've got all of those things. And now people are now sending emails to candidates and clients. They are sending it, putting newsletters, LinkedIn posts out there, and it doesn't even sound like the person. So you've got to actually work a little bit harder. And one of my training sessions today was a one-to-one consultation with someone about how you've got to go in once a week to these GPTs and even say to the GPT, ask me questions so that you can perform better. Because by doing that, what you're actually doing is you're having an ongoing conversation, and it could be a verbal conversation, it could be a written one. I just speak a lot better and quicker than what I type, and then it comes up to speed, and then it's brilliant, and then it works well, and then you just do it the next week. And that is the trick with getting the best out of using ChatGPTs, is to actually spend some time training it.
And what do you think is the one tool, if you had to recommend the one thing that's given you that aha moment, as when looking specifically for talent, what was the tool that you've used and why do you think that one's the best one? It's a difficult one because there's so many, right? But yeah, you can try.
We can try, but it also depends on what I'm trying to do. Like, for example, I was at a demo earlier this week with a company out of Australia, and they have developed a tool that goes through 750 applications, and in 30 seconds, it lists them in the best based on key factors that you have put in to the requirement of the software. It lists them in 1 to 750 of which the recruiter should respond to. What it then does is it gives them a phone call, screens them from using AI voice or AI text, and then the recruiter gets a short list of the top 10% that have already been qualified. I mean, that for me is just the most incredible time saver. So I'm coming up and I'm presenting at a South African graduate employment conference coming up, and that's a tool that would work brilliantly for them, because we all know how many CVs graduate recruitment companies that work for the big corporates get. So that's a tool that I'm going to be talking about then. So not necessarily a tool that I like the best. I mean, another one I could talk about on the list, there's a tool there called Carve, and it's recording all of my meetings at the moment. So it basically records the meetings. I can then get it to do a follow-up email. It transcribes it. It gives me the notes. It can build out training proposals from the information that it gets. Loads and loads of information. And I think that for me, as a solopreneur and a very busy one that jumps from meetings to meetings, to have a recording and everything that I have from the meetings is working brilliantly for me too.
So no, that's really great, because I mean, like you said, there's not just one tool that covers all the problems. At the moment, it is almost, like using different tools to see what is best for what solution. And that's what is important to kind of also, I think I encourage everyone to play around a little bit with the tools and see what works for them. But like you said, it's very important to put in the type of prompts and the kind of information that you want out. So what I sometimes find helpful is almost having I have like a document, just one document that describes me that I've created, just to like, this is who I am, this is my target audience, this is what I want, I kind of use that document, and then just whichever LLM I use, so you can do that as well. So you have like almost like
that's a good idea.
This is my CV, or this is my website, or this is who I am. Put it now together, and you'll be amazed what AI does. So what are the most common misconceptions, so when it comes to using AI for recruitment, do you think?
So I think a lot of recruiters out there are very, very nervous that they're going to be replaced by AI. And I think what is going to happen is that the recruiters that are embracing AI are using it very smartly, are freeing up a lot of their time to be more human, to build networks, to build communities, are the ones that are going to stay ahead. I do think recruiter numbers are going to drop. I think most industry are going to drop numbers of people that are employed, because AI is going to do a lot of the skills, which is an unfortunate, reality out there. I don't want to sugarcoat it. So I think that the misconception is that everyone's going to lose their jobs, but it's not. I think the people that are managing to stay ahead and educate themselves and be able to have a decent conversation around AI are not going to do themselves out of a job, because you're always going to need people in the recruitment industry. And I mean, if you even look at the EU AI Act, which is the one that most areas are following at the moment, the key thing from a recruitment perspective is that there has to be human oversight in any of your AI recruitment processes. So there has to be at least one human, there'll probably be more, but at least one human that is overseeing any AI processes that are out there. So it's interesting times. And like you said earlier, it's not too late. The sooner you start upskilling and learning, the better.
Yes, and I think also when it comes to the candidate side, so if you are looking for work, right?
Yes.
That fear of, okay, am I using the right keywords? Am I being able to? Because now, if companies are using AI to, cut that long list into a short list, and then how does it do it? So how do you make sure that you get found, and how do you optimize your CV and things like that? So it's really important, not just for recruiters, but for applicants as well, trying to find work, because yes, there are ways of doing it. And I know in your link, Vanessa, there's lots of tools there around how to create a CV, how to prepare for interviews, or like what tech to use to help you. But like, I think it's very important to keep the human side. The human side is absolutely critical, because people will see, the CV was created by ChatGPT or something. So you need to always remember to keep your use it almost like a guide, and then tweak and change and personalize it and put in your own voice, and make sure it's absolutely true to your authentic self. And
so there was actually there's actually a program in my last week's newsletter that went out. So anyone who's listening, connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll get my newsletter. I actually listened to a brilliant podcast out of the US, and it was something like there are 1,100 people applying for jobs on LinkedIn every minute at the moment. And the issue behind that is because people are using AI tools. So if you look at a tool called Handshake, what it does is it will take the candidate CV and it will apply to jobs on their behalf, but it pretty much just does keyword matching. So if I say as a recruiter, I have recruited business intelligence developers, it will go and find the word business intelligence on my CV and it will apply for me to do any business intelligence consulting, developer roles, whatever. So it's not 100% foolproof. Now, the problem with that is that there's been a complete tsunami of applications that are coming into play by AI, which is being met with AI from companies that are using AI to now go through the applications and then to rank them. So it is becoming a lot more difficult to stand out in a very competitive job market, which is why I go back to something I've always spoken about in the 7 years of running my business, which is build a brand, because that is something that people can look at. They can see your digital footprint. They can see that, you know, your CV hasn't been created by ChatGPT because you've got amazing LinkedIn recommendations and you're doing great things out there, and that's how you're going to stand out. So it's definitely interesting times.
Definitely. I don't know if you follow Stephen Bartlett. I always
Yes.
watch his podcast from Diary of CEO. It was largely around
Melissa, your sound is just breaking up. Sorry, guys. Melissa said that she was in Cape Town, and apparently they're having storms at the moment. So I'm not too sure what is happening. I think she may need to reboot or come back in or something like that. So in the meantime, Melissa, are you back?
Oh, sorry, I just lost a little bit of signal there. Apologies.
You did. No worries. Welcome back.
We're back again. The joys of technology. What I wanted to also just talk about is so Women in Tech, we are as an organization looking to empower more women through jobs as well. And our website, so if you want to go and look for work, yeah, I'll put this here in the banner. Sorry that my dogs are barking. That you can go and also find work. But what I would love to say is, you know, if you want to find out more about you know, how to use AI tools, how to not just find jobs for yourself but also to hire, definitely look at the link that Vanessa shared, because there are so many incredible AI tools on there. Let me just look at the chats and see if there are any burning questions. Please, if you are on live and joining us, please put some comments and chats in there so we can ask Vanessa about those. And also put where you're maybe where you're dialing in from. I'd love to see I'd love to see the global audience. Sorry, I did get lost there for a little bit. but
you came back, so that's good.
I came back. We're all good. So just in kind of almost like my almost last question I want to ask is, you know, how do you see the future of recruitment? Like what do you see what the world of recruitment is going to look like?
I think it's going to look very different, if I'm honest. I think there are going to be far fewer recruiters in the world, and I think that we're going to start seeing roles coming into play, things like community builders, candidate experience consultants, because it's all going to be about, you know, talent attraction and how do we maintain that we're bringing the best talents to the organization. So definitely definitely not just let's go and scour job boards and see who we can persuade to come and see us for an interview, but definitely a lot more strategic on who are we, why do people want to work for us, and how can we make it a pleasant experience so that other people want to come and join our organization. Melissa, I think you're on mute. I'm not too sure. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I was just going to say there are lots of people commenting, you know, from all over the world. So this is a global issue. This is a current, you know, need. And so, Vanessa, how do we follow you? How do we find you? Where are your next? You know, how can we keep track of, you know, what you're doing, and how can we support you?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I've actually just got off a call. It looks like I'm going to be in the US in September, coming up, bit of a last minute thing. I am going to be in Amsterdam in October. I'm presenting at Sourcing Summits. So if any talent sourcers out there want to attend, that is the best talent sourcing conference to attend in Europe. If you want more, please connect with me. And anyone who's listening and anyone wants to know more, connect with me, follow me so you get my newsletter. But yeah, I'm pretty much on all social platforms. You are welcome to connect with me wherever you feel comfortable. And Melissa, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I see there are some questions just coming
Sure,
through.
let's do it.
Just ask one. So from Jackie, she says, "Hi Vanessa and Melissa, how can we as talent specialists support our clients best for the new workforce ecosystem evolving using agentic AI?" So do you have any
Cool, that's
answer?
a good question. Yeah, Jackie, that's a great question. I think, and this is where I'm dealing with a lot of my clients from a consulting perspective, and I've put together a sheet of questions which you need to answer to get your head around where you're at. So because before you know where you're at, you've got to know, or where you want to progress from an AI perspective, you've got to know what you've got, what are you paying for, what already has AI built into it. So if you want, pop me a message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share that sheet of questions with you. But also, I think there's lots of ways that agentic AI can help, but it all depends on the user case. So if you can pinpoint in your organization where in your recruiter processes, is there friction? Are things too slow? You could be doing better. That is where agentic AI needs to kind of plug that issue. So until you identify the problem, you can articulate it. That's when you can get the right solution to plug into it. But I definitely do believe that there are lots of opportunities for agentic AI to help from a recruiting perspective.
And just final question here from Jess. She says, is there any idea if the AI application bots application submittals are more successful than live applications?
Any idea if the AI application bots application submittals are more successful than live? You know what? It's really difficult to tell, Jess. I don't think that there's been enough studies on this, to be honest. And I think that there's a lot of people out there, especially the AI tool providers, that are almost like fudging their results so that they sell more software. So I think it's something that I wouldn't like to comment on. I think at the end of the day, it all going to come down to the quality of the CV, how aligned your CV is with the role, because that's exactly what the application bots are doing, is they're taking the person's CV and they're putting it in front of the organization. So that's going to be the deciding factor, is your CV.
I personally think that AI bots are more for just getting basic information, but to do a application for a job you really, really, really want, I think you need to go the extra mile and not just hope that the bots is going to put your CV in front of the right person. I think try and really research the company, research the hiring manager, if you can figure out who that is on LinkedIn, see if you can contact them, or if they're going to an event, maybe you can meet up with them, try and, really be different. Do something that makes you stand out, because I think jobs are going to become less because of AI, and you need to use AI to really be efficient and to make sure that you add that value to your company. That's just a fact, because that's what's happening as we see the huge companies retaining the staff that are embracing the change. And I think it was Charles Darwin, I'll leave it on that note, that said a species is I actually wrote it down somewhere. It's not the strongest of the species that will survive, nor the most intelligent, but is the one that's the most adaptable to change. That was a quote by Charles Darwin. So we all need to, if we want to survive in this crazy world, we need to all be adaptable to change and just embrace it with curiosity. It's a lot of fun and it's nothing to be scared of, and you're not too late. And we're here to support you. Follow Vanessa's links for some extra guidance. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Thanks, Melissa.
A lovely conversation. We've had quite a few comments coming in, but I think there's some more questions. If you have any specific more questions, if you can reach out to us via LinkedIn, we'd be happy to continue the conversation and answer any specific questions. But thank you for your time today. It's been really great.
Excellent. Thanks, Melissa. See you soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.